back with the series video of Saigon Online Tech City. And the topic today is the importance of communication for tech talent. And today I'm sitting with Mr. Peter So, who is the Director of Operations at TINYpulse. So hello, Peter.
Hi, it's good to meet you again.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
And can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Peter So, and like you said, I'm the Director of Operations for TINYpulse. I spent the past, over 10 years in Silicon Valley, mainly working with the medical device industry, doing the design, development, and then the manufacturing and the transfer of the manufacturing for a lot of those companies. My business took me to travel to Vietnam, and actually fell in love with the culture and the people of Vietnam. Decided to kind of leave everything in Silicon Valley and actually just moved randomly to Vietnam just to see what I could do to help out. I just had a desire to say, I really would like to do something to help out Vietnam, to help out the country. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do, but that's what brought me to move out here for the first time. So by the time I moved here, I started doing things with the fashion industry, did some business development, for new product development for a startup company, then did some more consulting, and then finally ended up here at TINYpulse as director.
Oh, so you're born in Korea or you're born in the US?
Oh no, I was actually born in the US, but yes, I am Korean American, but I was born in and raised in California.
Okay. Oh, I don't believe it. Prove that you are Korean.
You want me to eat kimchi in front of you? Well, 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 서인입니다. 네, 안녕하세요.
와우. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Okay, cool. So
Sure.
next question. You said that this transition would not be easy without a strong foundation of communication. So
That's right. It wouldn't have been easy without a strong foundation in communication. What I mean by that is I think every successful entrepreneur believes very firmly that people are going to be the most important asset, the most important thing about a company. And I think Sir Richard Branson, who's a very well-known entrepreneur, said clients don't come first. Your employees come first. Take care of your employees, and they'll take care of the clients. So essentially from that, in each of these transitions in my career, I took the time to study about the company and the people I'd be interviewing with. And as I was studying the company, essentially what I was doing is understanding, how can I fit in this company? What can I do to add value to this company? And as I would go to those interviews and meet the interviewers, I try to adjust my communication style to theirs and communicate to them why I believed I would add value to their company. So that really helped to go from medical device to fashion to all these different facets, was understanding how I could fit in there and then communicating that value to the people that I was interviewing with.
So let's take a step back and talk about what is communication.
Oh, sure. I would break down communication into kind of 5 simple things. It's going to be reading, writing, speaking, listening, and then behavioral things. So behavior is kind of like the non-speaking things, like your body language, your body posture. So I appreciate actually your body posture and your body language is very nice. It's making me feel very comfortable because you look very engaged in what I'm saying. So I appreciate you doing that.
So what is more important, like strong technical skill or communication skills?
That is a challenging question. I think my honest answer for that is that it's going to depend on the situation. It's going to depend on the company, and it's going to depend on the candidate applying for it. But what I would say more definitively is that the great thing about strong communication skills is that it spans borders. It's much bigger than just something like your career. In every relationship that you're going to have, the foundation or the bedrock of that is going to be your ability to communicate with the other person, right? And that kind of skill set can make or break relationships or mend broken relationships as well. So it's a very, very powerful tool to practice and possess.
In your experience, what are some common mistakes that tech talent make during interviews?
I would say one of the things that I've noticed is just a general lack of preparation. For me, this is kind of very foundational, and for a lot of reasons, but if I'm sitting and interviewing a candidate and I ask them a simple question, hey, what can you tell me about TINYpulse, or what can you tell me about this company? And if they don't know anything about the company they're applying for, to me what that kind of communicates is that they didn't feel like it was worth their time to kind of do a search on the internet to understand the company's product, the company's core values and things like that. So whenever I run into that, it does put the candidate at a disadvantage, but it's twofold, because in reality, just as much as the company wants to evaluate and understand how good a fit is this candidate going to be, the candidate should also understand how good a fit the company is for them as well, because they're going to be spending a lot of time at the office. They want to make sure that they're very much aligned with the company culture and that it's a place where they feel like it's not going to be a miserable thing to do every day over and over again. So that evaluation should happen both ways. So with the lack of communication, you're going to see a lot of missed potential opportunities. So again, having that strong communication skill is very important for that. Secondly, I would say just in general, sometimes communication gets a little bit challenging. Just kind of on a very simple level, the candidate being able to understand the question I ask, and then for myself to understand the response of the candidate as well. So for me, I'm always trying to practice my own communication skills, especially as an expat in Vietnam, trying to understand how to word things in a way that's less confusing or less complicated for perhaps a Vietnamese national to listen to.
So it seems like preparation helps us communicate better. So do you agree?
Absolutely, hands down. For myself, so if you think about it, I had an extremely strong foundation in medical device. So when it comes to that, I feel very confident coming into interviews. But making a transition from that into something like tech, I understand that there's going to be a very large gap just in terms of base knowledge. So for me, what it tells me is if I'm really serious about this, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time trying to build this background so that I'm capable to answer the questions that they're going to ask me. Along with that, I'm also looking at, okay, what is my core strength? What could I do to show these people that I'm serious and that I'd be a good fit for this company and that I'd add a lot of value for this company? So that's where it comes to understanding who the interviewer is. So somebody like Dave or Mun Lei, if I Google Dave's name on the internet, I'll actually find some profile stuff about him. So that's what I did prior to meeting him for the first time. I got an understanding of what is Dave's background and what does he do, maybe things that he likes, his LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile, things of that nature. And that kind of helps me set me up so I feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in the interview itself or in that meeting. At least that way, my nerves aren't going to get the best of me, and I can at least give my best to communicate to the people that I'm speaking to.
So for someone who wants to improve on this skill, what kind of result or tips you want to give to them?
Well, I tell you what, I think a good resource to look into is, and it's kind of one of the foundational books in terms of people interaction and communication. It's actually a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Really, it's one of those books that everybody should read at least once. It is. I still have that copy on my desk here at my office that I still go back to. If I have a serious conversation that's going to come up, I'll go back to that book and reference and try to think about what is the most best way to approach this. What's the way I'm going to approach this talk so that everything is communicated very clearly. So it has a lot of helpful tips. One of them being, for example, one of the tips the book gives is the sweetest sound to a person is that person's name. In any language, that person's name, for example, right? So when we're having a lot of chance to speak together, it's me repeating your name often, and you're repeating my name as often as possible, and that's something that's going to really help people get engaged in that conversation. It's kind of one of those things. I should have said your name more often in this interview.
So, Pete, one more question.
Absolutely, go for it.
So how about for talent who work in another culture, just like you? The communication for them is going to be much harder. So what is your tips for them?
So you would say, so what's the example? If I was applying to a Vietnamese company, let's say. Okay, for me, I think one of the most important things is how do you kind of establish a connection with the person that you're speaking with. So a lot of my time spent in Vietnam was trying to get a better understanding of the culture, right? First, on just a very social level, what's the interaction look like between people? Is it very formal, like Japanese and Korean style could be extremely kind of a very formal social interaction style, or is it a little bit more lax in kind of a relaxing environment? As you begin to understand that, then you're going to get an understanding of how to kind of approach interviews and things like that. So when that's established, my process for the interview is going to be exactly the same in terms of understanding who I'm interviewing with, understanding the company, the products that they're developing, any kind of recent news that they've had, if they just recently got another new investment, a new investor, or things like that. And I'll find opportunities in that interview to communicate that knowledge to the interviewer, just so that they know, oh, this guy actually spent time to look into our company and see what we do. And the other portion is staying focused. Sometimes you get very nervous when it's in a different language. I get nervous when I speak to a Vietnamese person in Vietnamese. When I try to speak Vietnamese, I still feel a little bit nervous. And I know sometimes when people come here and they have their interview in English, they're also going to feel nervous. It's completely natural. That's totally fine. And what it comes down to is kind of practicing. And sometimes I'm literally standing in front of the mirror, looking at myself, kind of practicing these things that I'm saying. And that really helps start to calm me down and get me very comfortable for the interview. But in the end, I think it's understanding that, after all, I'm living in Vietnam and doing business here, right? So to have too high of an expectation for somebody to say, you have to speak English incredibly well, I think is unreasonable. In the end, we try to find a balance and respect each other's cultures and try to understand how we can add value to each other.
So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. No problem.
Yeah, I think your advice is very beneficial for tech talent, and especially for the one who are preparing for interviews. And I hope you have learned a lot. And if you have more questions, you can comment below. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.